Hello and welcome back, Exiles. Today I am incredibly excited to showcase my Impending Doom Chaos Gemling Legionnaire build guide for Path of Exile 2. This is not your typical run-of-the-mill Impending Doom setup. Instead of relying on a traditional caster ascendancy, we are utilizing the power of the Gemling Legionnaire, a specialized mercenary character archetype. This unique choice allows us to scale skill levels, maximize gem quality through Advanced Thaumaturgy, and layer our defenses in ways a standard caster simply cannot match. The core loop of this build revolves around rapidly triggering massive Doom Blast explosions using Despair, Spell Cascade, and Doedre's Undoing. This combination creates overlapping chaos detonations that completely vaporize map packs and melt pinnacle bosses alike. When you factor in high gem levels, extreme quality stacking, Trickster's shard technology, Mystic Avalanche cascades, and an optimized cast time of approximately 0.18 seconds, you get an endgame build that delivers unmatched gameplay fluidity, immense scaling, and top-tier performance. If you enjoy the production build guides and want to support the channel, please feel free to like, subscribe, and share this video with your fellow exiles. It deeply supports my work. Without further ado, let's dive straight into the core mechanics and see how this chaos machinery functions. Before we look at the gear and upgrades, it is vital to understand the underlying mechanics that drive this character. Once you master these core interactions, optimizing your upgrades and understanding the mandatory gear choices becomes incredibly straightforward. At the center of our offense is Impending Doom. This gem supports curse skills and grants the Doom Blast skill. A massive mechanical advantage here is that Doom Blast inherits the exact level of the curses it is linked with. Because we are pushing our Despair curse all the way to level 40, our Doom Blast matches that level, completely unleashing a staggering baseline 8,645 flat chaos damage before we even factor in a single damage multiplier from our gear or tree. Typically, whenever a supported curse expires or is removed, Doom Blast triggers, dealing massive area chaos damage. Normally, this mechanic can feel slow because you are forced to wait for the curse's duration to naturally end. We don't do that. Instead, we force our curses to expire instantly. By linking Despair, Impending Doom, Spell Cascade, and Doedre's Undoing, our gameplay completely changes. When we cast Despair, Spell Cascade creates multiple overlapping curse areas. As these areas overlap, Doedre's Undoing allows newly applied curses to instantly override the previous ones. Every single time a curse is replaced, Impending Doom registers it as an expiration and immediately unleashes a Doom Blast explosion. This turns a single cast into a rapid chain reaction of overlapping chaos detonations. Double hit overlap. One of our most powerful single target mechanics is what I call the double hit overlap. Because Spell Cascade spreads our Despair areas across the ground, a boss positioned perfectly can stand in the intersection of two overlapping zones simultaneously. By precisely positioning your cursor at the correct distance from the boss, a single cast cycle generates double the curse replacements and double the Doom Blast triggers. This effectively doubles your single target damage output. Perfecting this cursor placement is your single largest damage multiplier during grueling pinnacle boss encounters. To optimize our damage, we have to look closely at the internal limitations of Doom Blast. The skill possesses a hard cap, a 0.15 second internal cooldown, a maximum of 7 stored uses. Because of this internal cooldown, mindlessly stacking cast speed yields diminishing returns. My current character sits at an incredibly optimized 0.18 second cast time, pushing a blistering 5.65 casts per second. This puts us right in the perfect sweet spot, We are triggering Doomblast near its absolute theoretical maximum efficiency while freeing up valuable passive points and suffix slots to invest heavily into gem levels, curse scaling, and robust defensive layers. The goal isn't just to cast fast, it's to match our cast speed perfectly to our internal cooldown thresholds. Right now, I'm sitting at a 0.18 second cast time, which translates to 5.65 casts per second. Since Doomblast has a 0.15 second cooldown, we are riding right on the edge of the trigger limit. Pushing cast speed further isn't efficient. Instead, we pivot our investment into gem levels, curse scaling, and survivability to maximize our true damage. To tie our utility and combat consistency together, we utilize a powerful endgame amulet enchantment, Thaumaturgic Generator. This enchantment grants the unique buff Thaumaturgical Dynamism. While this buff is active, your character passively generates either a power, frenzy, or endurance charge once every 5 seconds. The trick to controlling this mechanic lies entirely in the cumulative attribute requirements of all the skill gems socketed across your gear. Higher total strength increases your chance for endurance charges, dexterity scales frenzy charges, and intelligence weights you heavily toward power charges. Because we are playing a high-end int-based character utilizing massive high-level skill setups like level 40 Despair, our intelligence footprint is astronomical. This skew completely weights the system to passively and consistently flood us with power charges during combat. When you pair this passive generation with our charge regulation spirit link, you gain an unbreakable, automated charge engine that maintains maximum uptime on your critical stats without requiring you to manually execute any extra combos while mapping or bossing. Doedre's Undoing is the mechanical cornerstone of our setup. When linked to Despair, it alters how the skill functions entirely. Instead of a standard curse application, Despair now creates Cursed Ground. Any enemy stepping into this zone is continuously afflicted by Despair, providing flawless curse uptime during hectic maps and boss phases. But the real magic lies in its secondary effects. Witch Toads. A Witch Toad spawns from the Cursed Ground every 0.25 seconds. Each area can store up to 4 Witch Toads. You can maintain a maximum of 2 active Cursed Ground areas. These Witch Toads aggressively track nearby enemies and leap at them. Upon landing, they trigger a sub-skill called Dark Consequences, which causes them to violently explode for substantial chaos damage. This means our build is never relying on just one source of damage. Instead, we have a beautiful symphony of multiple systems interacting at once. Despair overrides, Doomblast triggers, automated Witch Toad spawns, Dark Consequences explosions, and Withered scaling multipliers. When combined with Spell Cascade and Mystic Avalanche, the screen fills entirely with autonomous chaos explosions that wipe out enemies before they can even get close to you. One of the most slept-on pieces of tech in this build is Trickster's Shard, linked to our Despair setup. At first glance, many players see the supported spells deal 50% less damage modifier on the gem and immediately skip it because they think it ruins their damage. But they are completely misreading the gem. That 50% less modifier only applies to the spells cast by the Fractured Mimics, not to your own character. You still deal 100% full damage with every single cast. Here is why this is actually one of the biggest multipliers in the build. Trickster's Shard grants us a maximum of 4 active Fractured Mimics at once. Each Mimic casts your supported spells at 50% damage. If you do the math, combining 2 50% Mimics gives you 100% damage. Because you have 4 Mimics running around, their combined output equals 200% damage. When you add your own 100% casting on top of that, This single gem effectively gives you 3 full damage copies of your character casting Despair at the exact same time. Every automated cast from those 4 mimics triggers additional curse overrides, additional overlapping spell cascades, and a non-stop flood of Doomblast explosions. It turns this support gem into a massive automated trigger setup that triples our triggering efficiency while keeping your personal damage entirely untouched. If there is one absolute non-negotiable modifier you need to hunt for on a Megalomaniac Jewel, it is Mystic Avalanche. This notable dictates that the final echo of cascadable spells will also cascade to either side of the targeted area along a random axis. Because our primary build utilizes spell cascade, Mystic Avalanche forces our Despair zones to spread out horizontally and vertically across the battlefield. More cascades mean more overlapping zones, more curse replacements, more Doomblast triggers, and vastly superior screen coverage. For mapping, it ensures 0 stragglers are left alive. For bossing, it creates an absolute blender of overlapping zones that makes optimizing your single target cursor placement significantly more forgiving. The defining advantage of choosing the Gemling Legionnaire Ascendancy is our ability to abuse Advanced Thaumaturgy, which grants socketed gems powerful additional effects based on their quality. We leverage this mechanics loop to make our primary high cast speed main skill completely free. Here is exactly how this quality stacking loop works. Darkness Enthroned. We run a high roll belt setup to scale our socketed augment jewels by at least 98% up to a perfect 100%. Fox Idol. Placed inside the belt, it grants a baseline bonus to skill quality, which Darkness Enthroned heavily amplifies. If your belt has a 98% increased effect, it boosts the jewel to roughly plus 9% quality to all skills. If you hit a perfect 100% increased effect belt, that scales up to a clean plus 10% quality to all skills. Kurgle modifier on Amulet. We stack an additional plus 5% quality to all skills from our Amulet suffix modifier. The quality thresholds. Combined with the base quality of our gems, this gear infrastructure alone pushes Despair to 40% quality without spending a single passive point on the tree. Because Advanced Thaumaturgy scales Despair's quality directly into raw mana cost reduction, this 40% threshold is the magic number where our Despair costs exactly 0 mana. If you want to min-max the build even further, allocating the Paragon passive notable adds an extra plus 5% quality, driving your setup to a massive 45% quality to scale your auxiliary skills and Chaosblast ignite thresholds even higher. Because our main skill costs literally 0 mana, we can cast at 5.65 times a second indefinitely. You never have to worry about mana flasks, mana regeneration affixes on your gear, or resource-sustained clusters on the passive tree. This structural interaction provides ultimate freedom for our high-end gearing and defensive choices. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Looking at the gem links, you might wonder, why on earth are you running Flame Blast in a pure chaos damage build? The answer is simple. We aren't casting Flame Blast. We are casting what I like to call Chaosblast. This interaction is unlocked from our keystone, Blackflame Covenant, which converts 100% of our fire damage from spells into chaos damage and causes our ignites to deal chaos damage instead of fire. Next, we look back at Advanced Thaumaturgy. For Flame Blast, gem quality grants up to 40% more magnitude of damaging ailments per stage. Because our build stacks generic skill quality globally, our 40% quality Flame Blast yields an astronomical 80% more ignite magnitude per stage. At a full 10-stage channel, that is a staggering 800% more multiplier to our Chaos Ignite. Because our cast speed is so highly optimized, channeling to 10 stages takes a fraction of a second during boss downtime, letting us apply a massive, melting chaos damage over time to the boss, while our Doom Blast explosions continue to detonate. Gemling Legionnaire. Our Ascendancy choices are perfectly tailored to maximize this specific mechanical setup. Advanced Thaumaturgy. Gem quality grants socketed skills and additional effect. Neurological Implants provides a flat +2 to level of all skills with an intelligence requirement, scaling our primary chaos and curse gems drastically. Gem Studded. This node looks at the color of your socketed support gems and grants powerful bonuses based on whichever color is most numerous in your gear. The 3 baseline options are: red support gems, hits against you have no critical damage bonus. Blue support gems, skills have 30% less cost. Green support gems, 40% less movement speed penalty from using skills while moving. But here's the min-max secret of this character. We have perfectly balanced our gem setup to feature exactly 18 blue support gems and 18 green support gems. Because blue and green are perfectly tied for our most numerous gem type, the game allows us to trigger both benefits at the exact same time. The blue synergy, the 30% less cost. The green synergy, the 40% less movement speed penalty, completely eliminates the clunkiness of traditional casting. This allows you to fluidly kite and slide through Tier 16 maps while dropping curses at maximum speed. Essence of Virtue. This node grants the unique skill Virtuous Barrier, a persistent buff that reserves 0 spirit and automatically conjures a protective barrier around us. Over time, it generates gemstone motes for each attribute type: strength, dexterity, and intelligence, granting massive passive defensive scaling that resets slightly when you take a hit. The baseline cap for each mote type is 3, but it scales up by +1 for every skill you run that requires that specific attribute. Because our build utilizes a massive array of supporting skills like Dark Effigy, Ravenous Swarm, Sigil of Power, and Blasphemy, our maximum mote capacity is heavily inflated. Look at what this gives us completely for free just by standing still. Strength motes grants 2% increased maximum life per mote. Dexterity motes grants 5% increased armor, evasion, and energy shield per mote. Intelligence motes grants 5% increased life and mana regeneration rate per mote. Because Virtuous Barrier is a skill, it also benefits from Advanced Thaumaturgy. By globally stacking gem quality across our character, our intelligence motes gain an additional +2.5% life and mana regeneration rate per mote. Optimizing your Socketables is a delicate balancing act between pushing your damage to its ceiling and securing your endgame survivability. Here is your ideal layout. Hedge Witch, Assandra's Rune of Wisdom, crucial +1 to level of all spell skills. Venomous Rune of Draining, grants 20% increased withered magnitude, socketed into gloves. Takati's Soul Core of Affliction, applies -5% to chaos resistance on any enemy you curse. Idol of Egrin, cursed enemies take 6% increased damage. Venomous Rune of Agony, gain 13% of damage as extra chaos damage. Ancient Rune of Witchcraft grants 40% increased area of effect of curses. Rune of the Blossom provides +50 to spirit with a minor penalty of -1 to spirit per 2 levels. Venomous Rune of Spinning provides 8% increased cast speed to smooth out our trigger rate, socketed into gloves. Fox Idol adds +5% to quality of all skills, mandatory for our Darkness Enthroned setup. Greater Iron Rune delivers an 18% to 20% increased armor, evasion, and energy shield baseline multiplier to secure our defensive layers. To optimize our character, we utilize every single unit of our available spirit pool to layer utility and defense. Blasphemy, 70 spirit. Withering Presence, 30 spirit. Charge Regulation, 30 spirit. Ravenous Swarm, 30 spirit. Convalescence, 30 spirit. Virtuous Barrier, 0 spirit. Total spirit, 190. To unlock the absolute maximum single-target DPS ceiling against pinnacle bosses, you must follow a disciplined setup rotation to perfectly layer your modifiers and debuffs. Step 1. Drop your Sigil of Power to establish your active damage amplification zone. Step 2. Deploy your Dark Effigy to begin tethering the target. Step 3. Cast Mana Tempest to maximize your spell effectiveness. Step 4. Channel your Flame Blast quickly to apply a massive melting 800% Chaos Ignite. Step 5. Spam Despair setup, positioning your cursor carefully to exploit the double hit overlap. Step 6. Maintain your maximum Withered stack seamlessly through the combined efforts of Dark Effigy, Ravenous Swarm, and Withering Presence. As discussed, our cast speed breakdown dictates the exact rhythm of our gameplay. Use this reference chart to see where your own character stands during your gearing journey compared to these optimized breakpoints. Cast time threshold, build optimization status, 0.30 seconds, too slow, clunky trigger rate, 0.20 seconds, good baseline entry into endgame, 0.18 or 0.19 seconds. Endgame optimized, current build breakpoint, 0.16 seconds high-end min-max territory, 0.15 seconds. Theoretical cap, Doom Blast cooldown limit. When transitioning into T16 maps and Pinnacle endgame content, your unique utility charms provide complete crowd control immunity and defensive resets. Nascent Hope, Thawing Charm, grants absolute immunity to freeze and instantly forces your energy shield recharge to begin upon activation. The Fall of the Axe, Silver Charm, renders your character completely immune to enemy slows while granting Onslaught, yielding a massive 20% increased skill speed and 10% increased movement speed. For Utopia, Stone Charm, provides the ultimate endgame quality of life layer by granting absolute stun immunity. If you are playing on a budget, you can easily use magic versions of Thawing, Silver, and Stone Charms. Just prioritize roles with increased duration and reduced charges per use. One of the biggest strengths of this build is that every skill serves a specific purpose. We aren't simply stacking damage. We're creating a complete system where each skill supports our impending doom detonations, survivability, and bossing potential. Despair, Impending Doom, Doedre's Undoing, Spell Cascade, Focus Curse, Trickster Shard, Flame Blast, Searing Flame, Considered Casting, Fire Mastery, Magnified Area, Cooldown Recovery, Blasphemy, Temporal Chains, Slow Potency, Heightened Curse, Ritualistic Curse, Magnified Area, Dark Effigy, Withering Touch, Poison, Extraction, Projectile Acceleration, Deliberation, Ravenous Swarm, Maim, Withering Touch, Culling Strike, Cooldown Recovery, Blind, Mana Tempest, Cooldown Recovery, Lightning Mastery, Rapid Casting, Efficiency, Mobility, Sigil of Power, Magnified Area, Cooldown Recovery, Prolonged Duration, Rapid Casting, Mobility, Withering Presence, Chaos Mastery, Prolonged Duration, Convalescence, Cooldown Recovery, Second Wind, Charge Regulation. When crafting or purchasing rare gear, prioritize these exact stat affixes to maximize your item budget efficiency. Wand, +5 Chaos spell levels, +1 spell levels. Cast speed, hindered enemies take increased Chaos damage. Gain damage as extra fire, gain damage as extra lightning. Focus, +2 spell levels. Cast speed, increased energy shield, increased area of effect. Body armor, spirit, energy shield, resistances. Boots, increased movement speed, energy shield, resistances. Gloves, energy shield, resistances. Cast speed, increased effect of socketed augment items. Amulet, enchantment, thaumaturgic generator. Gem levels, skill gem quality, cast speed, spirit, rings, chaos damage, cast speed, resistances. Here's a quick look at the exact baseline gear layout I'm running for the showcase. Wand, focus, body armor, gloves, helmet, amulet, rings, boots, belt, these specific uniques offer your largest power spikes. The Vertex, look for a +4 or +5 to level of all curse skills. Corruption for an astronomical damage jump. Darkness Enthroned, 98% or higher increased effect, used to amplify Fox Idol and our quality scaling strategy. Split Personality, allows passive tree access from Sorcerer's starting location. From Nothing, enables you to allocate powerful passive skills within its radius without needing them connected to your main pathing tree. We use this to effortlessly secure the legendary Whispers of Doom keystone. Megalomaniac allows you to allocate 2 to 3 high-impact notable passives. Look for a variant containing at least 2 of the following standouts. Priority Notable, Mystic Avalanche. When it comes to our passive skill tree, we are doing some highly advanced pathing that completely ignores standard class boundaries. Because the Gemling Legionnaire starts as a mercenary character, we have a long way to travel to get our optimal curse and chaos modifiers. Here is our structural breakdown and the secret tech that makes it work. Our primary goal is to get our passive tree anchored directly into a high-value, caster-centric starting location to bypass standard travel point waste. The Split Personality Leap. This unique allows you to allocate passive skills from any other class starting point. In our main configuration, we use this to project our tree straight into the Sorceress starting point, or the Shadow alternative, to easily scoop up the game's best chaos damage, curse efficiency, and cast speed wheels. The From Nothing Bypass. Normally, even with a class jump, you'd still have to spend valuable passive points pathing over to the mandatory multi-curse wheel. From Nothing completely deletes that requirement, because it allows passives in the radius of Whispers of Doom to be allocated without being physically connected to your tree. The Time Lost Sapphire. Super Zone. To min-max our allocated clusters, we slot the Time Lost Sapphire into a high-value jewel socket. This jewel upgrades its radius to very large and forces every single allocated notable passive within that massive area to grant an extra 5% critical hit chance for spells, 2% cast speed, and 3% area of effect. Because we path heavily through clustered areas, it acts as a massive global stat multiplier, boosting our explosion radius, improving our critical strike consistency, and helping us easily lock in our optimal 5.65 cast per second sweet spot. Blackflame Covenant. This is the absolute mandatory keystone for the build. It converts 100% of our fire damage to chaos damage. turning Flame Blast into our secret boss-melting Chaosblast. Chaos Inoculation. Allocating this keystone sets our maximum life to 1, but renders our character entirely immune to chaos damage and bleeding. Because our infrastructure stacks high energy shield, this completely eliminates the need to roll chaos resistance on gear, nullifies deadly toxic clouds or degens, and completely ignores lethal puncture mechanics in T16 maps. It turns your massive energy shield pool into your definitive, unbypassable health bar. Whispers of Doom. You can apply an additional curse. Chaos spell levels and withered clusters. We grab every available cluster that scales chaos skill levels, cast speed, and withered magnitude to amplify our underlying Doom Blast damage profile. By combining the structural benefits of Gemling Legionnaire with Advanced Thaumaturgy, extreme quality scaling, and overlapping cascade interactions, we have built a character that takes a completely fresh, incredibly explosive approach to impending doom. This setup delivers flawless, screen-wide map clearing, massive single-target burst through Chaosblast and double-hit overlaps, a fully sustained zero-mana main skill configuration, unrivaled endgame gem, immune defense, and quality scaling. The complete path of building link, exact gearing breakpoints, and step-by-step crafting notes are all located down in the description below. Don't forget to join our community Discord to showcase your own character progression. And if you want to support the channel directly, consider checking out my Patreon page. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, Exiles, stay chaotic.